Hey guys, it's Byron. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new to the channel, I'm a beginner wholesaler. I started wholesaling about 7 months ago, and I built my business up to make about 10K a month. And I started this channel to document my journey, but also to help other beginner wholesalers that's trying to get started in this business. So in this video, we're going to talk all things earnest money. What is earnest money? Who pays earnest money? What happens to earnest money in the process? And probably the most important thing you want to talk about is how do you not lose your earnest money? So stay tuned. Let's get to the video. So what's the purpose of earnest money? Earnest money is a deposit that a buyer of real estate put down to show good faith towards purchasing the property. The seller wants to know that you actually have some skin in the game when signing that contract. So you may have to put down, 500, 100. Some sellers may ask for 5,000. It just depends on the seller, because some sellers may have sold property before, they may have property tied up and the person backed out. So it depends on the experience of that seller and what you can negotiate as far as earnest money. Sometimes the earnest money can be used as a tool. And I'll talk more about that later, how you can use earnest money to help you actually get deals. So who pays earnest money? Who pays earnest money is the buyer of real estate. And in that case, as a wholesaler, you're approaching the seller and saying, hey, I want to purchase your property, or I work for a group of investors that are looking to purchase property. So you're going to have to put down the earnest money. I will talk about ways that you can get your buyer to put down earnest money, and ways that I found to get others to put down earnest money instead of me. And who's going to be handling this earnest money? The earnest money is going to be handled by a third-party attorneys or title company. This third party is going to act in the best interest of you and in the best interest of the seller. Make sure the seller knows that the earnest money doesn't go to them. Make sure that you never give the seller earnest money. Always make sure you have a third party, either attorney's office or a title company, depends on what state you're in, that you can turn the earnest money deposit into, and they can hold it until the transaction is ready to actually happen. The earnest money is actually part of the transaction. So if you're purchasing a property for $100,000 and the seller wants $1,000 earnest money, you're going to put the $1,000 earnest money up at the attorney's office or title company. You're going to put $1,000 up. So the only remaining balance is $99,000. So earnest money is kind of seen as almost like a down payment, like you're putting money down up front, but that money is going to be used towards the actual purchase of that property. So let's talk about how you can get your cash buyer to put down the earnest money. So usually in my contracts, I put down $100 earnest money, or I'll put down $500. I feel like I'm dealing with like a savvy seller, somebody that's used to selling real estate and may want more. And what I do is I'll let the attorney's office know that my end buyer is going to be putting down that earnest money. So, and I'll also let my end buyer know, hey, you need to put down the earnest money for the original contract as well as the earnest money that me and the end buyer had agreed to. And I do this because I get a contract with the seller, but I already have the cash buyer ready to go. So I usually I'm signing my contract with the seller and signing my contract with the buyer at the same time, because I find my buyers first, and then I go out and find the properties that they like. So I'm able to quickly tie up the property with the seller and the buyer and get the buyer to pay the earnest money. So just to be honest with you guys, I've never put down earnest money. I've never paid earnest money ever. Not one penny of earnest money has came out of my pocket. Another thing about earnest money is there is a time period called due diligence, which is negotiated in the contract as well. That is a clause that's in, I know, my contract and most wholesale contracts. After signing the contract, there's a period of time where you get to inspect the property, look at the property, and find the proper finances. And if you don't feel comfortable at the end of that time period, you can back out of the deal and keep your earnest money. If you go beyond the due diligence time period, then now you put your earnest money at risk. If you don't follow through with the purchase, then your earnest money is going to be forfeited to the seller. For example, if I lock up a property today and I put 10 days due diligence in the contract, on the 10th day, I need to cancel the contract if I don't have a cash buyer. So I always look at it like my due diligence period is my time period that I have to find a cash buyer. If I know I have a cash buyer, then I'll put a shorter due diligence period, like 10 days. If I have no clue who the cash buyer will be, I may try to put a 20 or 30-day due diligence period. Some wholesalers will put the due diligence period to last the entirety of the contract. So if I lock up a property today and I put the closing date 60 days from now, some wholesalers will try to put the due diligence periods all 60 days. That way, they have the right to back out all the way up to closing. Some sellers may look at that and be like, hey, I don't want that to happen because they don't want somebody backing out on them. However, there is a way that allows you to step out of a deal, never lose earnest money when wholesaling. All right, guys, I wanted to break into the video to let you guys know that you can leave a comment below to let me know what kind of content I can bring you to help you as a beginner or help you just in general in your wholesale real estate business do more deals. Is there anything that I can provide or value that I can bring to you? Please just leave it in the comments or hit me up on REI Next Door. Like always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll just keep bringing you more and more content to try to help you and your wholesaling business. So stay tuned. Let's get to the video. Earnest money also could be used as your benefit. There was a property that we were trying to get under contract, and the seller said they had someone else offer them a little bit more. Well, I came back to the seller and asked, hey, we're serious cash buyers in the area. I know there's a lot of people around that's throwing out offers. We're willing to put down $5,000 to $10,000 earnest money to show you that we're serious buyers that can actually close on this property. And I asked them, hey, is the other person willing to put down that kind of earnest money to show that they're actually going to close on your property? The last thing that you as a seller want to do is have your property locked up, really need to close on a day, and somebody not close on your property, and now you're looking for another buyer. So the seller went back and talked to that buyer, and the buyer was not willing to even put down $500 earnest money. So the seller came back to me and said, hey, we're willing to sell you the property as long as you can put down $5,000 earnest money. I said, no problem. I went to my buyer. I said, hey, this deal is at this price, but you got to put down $5,000 earnest money. So the buyer put down a $5,000 earnest money. We locked up the contract and we were able to close that deal. So that's how you can use earnest money to your benefit, but you never pay the earnest money. You just pass that on to your buyer. So guys, that's the purpose of earnest money. That's what happens with earnest money. You really never have to pay earnest money if you can make sure that you already have your buyer in place up front, and you always just let your buyer know how much the earnest money is, when they need to turn in, and that way you really never have to deal with earnest money. But I will always advise you, if you're gonna put up earnest money, put the amount that you can afford to lose. So if I'm okay with losing $100, $500, if I'm only okay with losing $10, then put the amount of earnest money that you are comfortable with losing, because anytime you're dealing with real estate and investing, you gotta be willing to stand the loss. So with all that being said, if you have any questions, make sure you hit me up, REI Next Door. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, guys, peace.